Gimpin ain't easy, but it's necessary. I be getting weary, cause shit be getting scary. But sit back, relax, and don't you dare worry, cause I be hitting wrongs with a righteous fury. Yes, sir, see, I am the only one. My name is Josh Dunn, gonna have some fun telling the truth y'all can't handle. I might raise a scandal as I dismantle the fake, make them quake and make them shake. I make you bend, but never will I make you break. Just chill, yo, and don't be frightened. Open that closed mind, it's time to get enlightened. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Gimpin Aint Eazy, cause it ain't, episode 6. We're still on the air. We have not been kicked off any of the social media platforms, although SoundCloud wants to charge us, but I say we should just change our website address slightly. This week's episode is brought to you once again, and as always, by Cafe Sempoal. This week's feature VHS is Chicago. Another excuse to go visit your granny, since no one younger than 87 has a VCR anymore. Now remember, she's 87, so if she knows the words of the songs better than you, then you gotta stop getting high. We're also brought to you once again by Charlie's Club, where most shots are $2.75 on Tuesdays. Turns out the door window is not plexiglass. I was just extra weak because I'd been given blood and living off hospital cookies. Well, guess what? This week I'm eating, so I'm gonna make it rain. Look out, Charlie, I'm coming for you. We're also brought to you this week by Double Mint Gum. If it doubles anything other than your cavities, you'd better see a doctor real quick. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about home care workers. And I suppose I mean this to include nurses and any other type of folks who assist the disabled. It's just that I've only really had home care workers and foot nurses as well in the last few years, so I can't really speak specifically to the workers in hospitals or group homes. But in a general way, I mean to include them too. Now, I want to start. I'm a bad news first kind of guy, so I want to start with the bad workers first. Okay? So you bad workers out there, to those cats who abuse, in the extreme cases, sexually and physically, of course, but even emotionally, who take every chance they can to power trip and make those who help them feel worthless, who steal, who are cranky every time. Hey, everyone has a bad day. But if every day is a bad day, the problem is you, not the world, man, who do a piss-poor job and whine and complain about every little thing. Fuck you, and fuck all you stand for. Think of what you're doing. You're making things worse for people who have a pretty bad time of things. I gotta have you in my home, that's pretty uncomfortable. And then if I gotta worry about what you're gonna do, man, if I gotta go to work just to be on guard while you're collecting wages, fuck you. Fuck you for making me paranoid about new workers who might be great because you were such a flaming criminal. Oh yeah, and fuck you to the ones who neglect their clients. I've heard about this shit several times, leaving shit caked up their backs for days. For too many stories about that. So look, if you absolutely hate the job, leave. Go be a shitty accountant for someone who can afford to lose the money. There are plenty of good people who want your job, so let them take it. I've just got one more fuck you, and that's the bad clients out there. Now, I'm not talking about someone who has dementia or can't control what they're doing. I'm talking about some prick who's just filled with hate and wants to power trip and abuse their worker because it's the one area of life where they think they can get away with it. Well, fuck you, I say you can't. Remember, your worker is a human being. They're helping you have a better life. And once again, it's pretty shitty work sometimes, So how dare you abuse them? And fuck you most of all for making a good worker turn bad, because I might have to deal with them after you've made them hate the fucking job, so fuck you. But all that said, there are plenty of good workers too. I got to give a shout out to a couple people in particular. First of all, my current worker Garrett, who's become a good pal and someone I'd like to have in the trenches with me if shit ever hit the fan. I know I'd have him laughing as I was chucking self-defense grenades at the enemies, you know? And I can't forget about my longest term worker, Marlene, who's just about the nicest lady ever, and who often went above and beyond the call of duty for me on numerous occasions. There was Ken, my first worker, who stopped being my worker after a year and a half in '06 because he died of cancer. Unfortunately, he'd often bring change for my laundry himself, because back then it was coin op, and I'm still poor now, but back then I was a very poor and disorganized 21-year-old. I didn't even know he was sick until he died, unfortunately, so thanks for helping me out, Ken. I can't forget my foot nurse, Patricia, who always understands that my screwy pissing can make me late, and I even had to kick her out early last time for the same reason. Thanks for never making me cry with all those foot drills and nail scrapers, and for being cool to be around. Another thank you to all the cats I just mentioned. You're all true gangsters in my books. To all you good workers out there, one more huge big thank you. And look, I know it's a tough job some days, man. It's not glamorous work, you know? It's not something society properly values. You gotta wipe asses and deal with assholes, and just like Gimpin, that ain't easy. But I want you good workers to know that Josh knows you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate it. If you ever get down about your gig, I want you to remember this. You're providing necessary help to folks like me who need it. You're ensuring dignity and enabling independence. I know you're underappreciated and underpaid, but I want you to know you are very fucking important. By allowing cats like me to lead more dignified and free lives, you're doing something that's extremely meaningful. I can't think of many things more important than helping someone have a better life. You are awesome. And when you get down about the shitty, both literally and figuratively aspects of the job, remember, you're doing one of the most important things in the world.
Listen to the sounds of the circus as they reach your ear.
There's something about the circus that is, well, almost magical.
Folks, we're here, episode 6. Our guest this evening is Vennesa Furlong. I have her here in particular because I'm pretty sure she does some circus. I know she does some circus stuff, but I'm pretty sure she does some with disabled folks. But and I've got my place lined with banana peels because I'm jealous of her flexibility and want her to lose it. This place is decked out more than Donkey Kong Country. My place spells bad for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Vennesa?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm kind of... You've got the less comfortable chair, but at least you're not stuck to it, right?
No. No.
Yeah.
Not today.
So, you want to tell me a little bit about where you're from and what your childhood was like?
Where I'm from? Oh, childhood. Wow.
Yeah, this is deep, man.
You get deep right away.
I'm a psychiatrist for free.
That's beautiful. I'm actually from a small town in New Brunswick. And childhood was actually pretty spectacular because it was a lot of nature and outdoors and learning and hands-on and you know, the typical broken home making you stronger kind of thing. So yeah.
And by broken home, you don't necessarily mean bad home, but just parents separated?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the same my scenario as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't... Well, it actually was a little bad on my father's side.
Yeah, there's always some bad in there, which, you know, probably is what led to the broken home to begin with, but yeah.
Right. And were you being out there in nature? Were you athletic from an early age, or would you say in a way?
Well, where we were so far out in the country, I didn't do any like extracurricular things. I wasn't on any sports teams. I wasn't doing, gymnastics or dance or any of that, because to get to any of those things would have been like a 45-minute to an hour drive.
Right.
So it was, you know, backyard climbing trees and maybe riding bikes, kind of athletic. Yeah.
Right. So not in a structured way, but in more of a fun and I would say, natural way. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, there was a lot of creativity to what we were doing as well. So.
And how about the musical side of things? Did you get into music at an early age as well? Or?
Yeah, and again, that was kind of like one of those, mom buys you the cute little keyboard and you listen to something by ear and figure it out. I didn't, have a music trainer and taking music lessons or anything like that. So it was whatever I could figure out on my own.
Right. I never took comedy classes either. Now some people would say you could see that, but I see you're laughing. So see, that's, I don't know. Maybe,
it worked.
Maybe not. Yeah. Screw ups are hilarious, right? Yeah. So what? So the keys were and I think I was looking up about 3-sheet. You do vocals and keys on there, right?
Yeah, I really barely do keys for them because I mean I'm not classically trained in it, but the keys, and there was cello at one point, and
Ooh, cello.
Yeah, and then mostly vocals. Yep.
Yeah, I'm entirely a vocal artist. I sing like barely, and I rap a little bit. I don't know if you heard the intro to this show.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need to hear that now.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll listen to your own episode if no others, right? Yeah, just I'm just counting on everybody's individual narcissism to make me famous.
Yes, excellent.
Right?
I like
You all want to see yourselves, and then
right.
Somehow I'll ride somebody's
and then we
coattails.
spread the word to our friends.
Right.
And then, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I take over the world.
Pretty much.
Step by step.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with 3-sheet cats to start with?
I was attending a few of the shows because I was actually dating one of the members at the time. So I attended the shows and I was watching it. And I was like, man, this is a lot of fun, and there's really something to this. I think they're onto something, and so I almost begged them to let me in. And when they figured out that I could somewhat sing, they were like, yeah, okay, let's give this a go. And 10 years later, we made some magic.
Stopped just short of begging, and hey, we needed a singer.
Right?
I dig it, man. Yeah. And now, unless I read the names wrong on the Bandcamp, you are the only woman in the group?
Yeah, that's right.
How do you feel about those dynamics?
It worked. I mean, it worked really well for us. I don't know. It was just like there was something about that group of people. Everyone there worked out really well together, and it was very much family based. We all had each other's backs. We all respected each other. We all fought like cats and dogs, but we all always came back from it. And so they never made it a thing, the fact that I was a woman. I mean, it became pretty obvious. We would use that sometimes as a part of the gimmick, like there's the girl, so let's rap about
3
whatever,
MCs and one lady.
It became an obvious thing that got pointed out, but that was never, I guess that was never a leading thing for it anyway.
And well, I'm glad to hear more than anything that it, at least from the way you say it, that doesn't seem that it was problematic in any way, right?
Never, no, yeah, and I think that was just the lucky thing about who it was that I was working with. I mean, I don't think I could have found finer humans in all of those guys. I think that's why we managed to last as long as we did, the 10 years, is that they were just genuinely good people.
10 years, wow.
I know.
Yeah, that's quite a marriage. And were there you said you fought sometimes. I'm looking for the dirt here, I guess. not real dirt. I don't want to make anybody feel worse than I do. Yeah. That would be horrible.
No, it was usually my fault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I fucking love that, man. Somebody comes, because nobody wants to take blame for nothing these days. I'll say like, fuck yeah, I'm a hard head, I'll hold grudges, this and that. But like, if I'm the first to say, I probably shouldn't have done that, or So I welcome that. That's refreshing.
I just, quite honestly, like everybody has their things, and we all were going through it together because everybody was growing up together too. Like we're going from like our 20s into our 30s together. We all had life changes, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, like I can be a really impatient person.
Me too.
And sound checking was the number one thing that set me off.
Wow, because it takes so fucking long.
It takes so long, and you end up with like guys who just don't understand how to run a soundboard, or venues like don't understand placement of speakers, and so you usually I would just have this moment of like, "Meh, I'm out of here. Meh, I can't handle this," and you know, I always cause the drama. So
did you, now, did you actually like storm out of gigs, like for real?
oh, I'm sure I have.
You did? And like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Did they get you back, or did you just know you're
Oh
done
yeah,
for the night?
then the boys will like roll their eyes and be like, "Vanessa's doing that again," and let's call her back, call her out on her bullshit, and then we'll move on with the show. And so that sometimes happened, but no, honestly, like any fighting that happened, it was a natural part of how we grew together. Or somebody was going through a rough time, and everybody had to, you know, work through that together. But it again, it was just genuine, honest family fighting, and we all very much care for each other still, even today.
No, I dig that, man. I dig that the fighting brought you closer together, and I also was thinking of, if these sound checks were really, really obscenely long, you storming out and having a fit and them taking time to get you back, like that would make the actual sound check time go by quicker, right?
Yeah, like I wasn't making things easier, that's for sure. Yeah.
No, but you have your own little thing to do, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, now just like, if I can just, I gotta learn to like program my tantrums for when things take long. You know, I'm waiting for somebody, I'll just start flipping out and like forget about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And what about like, so I think again, if the Bandcamp was not mistaken and my reading was not mistaken, there were 6 of you
At one time, yeah, we had brought in DJ Uncle Fester,
Right.
and he's a dear friend who had some really great suggestions on ways that we could add some different production to what we were doing. So he came in for a time and helped contribute to the music.
And just like with all those characters being 6, was it hard scheduling wise to make things happen?
Yeah, that was really hard. And by the time we had, it wasn't so bad in the beginning, but once we had all started to establish, you know, full-time jobs or having a family or running a business or all of those things on top of it, then scheduling got really, you know, life. Scheduling got difficult. And again, I was probably the worst for it.
I love the honesty.
Yeah. Oh, I gave those guys a hard time. It was rough, but yeah, but we made it work. And what was really great about it was that if 2 or 3 of the members were able to meet, then they would come up with some stuff together, and then they would bring it to the table to the rest of us, and we'd go from there.
That is very smart. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, because it's like, oh, well, us 2 get together, and then so we'll have these little mini groups in there,
Yep.
and then so you were saying about how the fighting oftentimes brings you closer together. Like creatively, did you find that was often the case? Like, yes, we have different opinions, but ultimately this dynamic tension helps the music, or?
I think so. I don't really know. I don't remember that ever coming into effect. We all had different styles and what kind of music that we enjoyed, and so sometimes there would be some tension, and you know what, like I like this sound and I don't like this sound, this I think is working and this isn't. I would get picky and be like, you're off key, you need to tune up again. And like but no, I think I really don't know how to explain it. I don't know how we got so lucky, but I don't know, it just worked, it just clicked.
From Patsy Cline to Metallica to making rap tunes.
You know, there you go.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Just because, you know, this show being called Gimpin Aint Eazy, and as far as I know, you don't have any physical disabilities, but I brought this up with Frisbee Rob, who's like a world-class 6-time Guinness World Record holding Frisbee guy. Mm-hmm. What kind of hardships have you had to deal with in your life, if you don't mind talking about them?
Well, as you mentioned, like I am able-bodied, but I definitely have a great deal of mental issues that I deal with. A lot of that, I don't talk about often, because it's funny. It's one of those things where it's either going to hurt what it is that you are doing, or it's everyone suddenly uses that as your identity, and
Yes.
you know what I mean. So, but it was a large part of what did cause some of the fights. It's a large part of what has destroyed many of my relationships. It's a large part of why it is I do the work that I do, and it's something that I will continue to suffer with for the rest of my life.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I think I have the same, or at least a similar sort of take on that than you might have, because I'm pretty sure, undiagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I have elements of bipolar disorder, and I have I have obviously the CP, but there's things you can't see with that as well as things you can see, and I just if I have bipolar disorder, that's like one thing too many,
Yeah.
then I won't be able to get out of bed, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or and again, this is not to offend anybody that has bipolar or other mental illnesses or what have you, but just simply my own personal take for me, not necessarily for anybody, is I can't welcome that space for that, because I think then I'm so you kind of, at least for me, I gotta fake it to make it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ain't always suffering every day with that either,
For sure, yeah. And the fake it till you make it thing, that's the biggest thing, is because it's some element of burden as well, you have your friends who are seeing your Instagram life, your Facebook life, and they're like, well, you get it so on point, and I'm like, I'm actually falling apart every single day.
Right, I'm not posting the bad posts.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But what you don't want to do is, because I very rarely have time to spend with friends and family, because I am so busy with my career that I don't want the time that I am spending with friends and family to be talking about how I'm unraveling and
Right.
could you help me out there. So a lot of that, yeah, it is things that I take care of in other ways.
And it seems that you've at least identified the issues to yourself, so it seems like at least you're certainly aware of them, but would you say, in terms of you having those sort of, for lack of a better term, diva moments or whatever, would you say you're having less of those now?
I can identify that I had that mostly because I've spent thousands and many years in therapy.
Okay.
I was medicated.
Thousands of years in therapy.
Ooh, thousands of dollars in years
dollars,
in therapy.
okay. I was like, thousands.
Yeah.
Wow, you're like the most
Right?
wise soul in the universe.
And looking so fresh.
I know.
And I was medicated for a very long time,
Right.
and I did choose to come off of those. And yeah, I think a lot of the diva moments that I was having, it was either a buildup of anxiety or rages that I was having that day that's now coming out in this aspect, or it was just my social anxiety just absolutely killing me and I need to take it out on someone here, or whatever it is, So, just controlling that is something that I've had to learn to deal with.
And you'd say you have better control now, do you think? Or
I have a better grasp on what it is that's going on. I don't say I have better control.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm just you're not looking too angry with me just yet, so I feel safe so far, but geez, that is an awful sharp knife you're holding there. Jeez, I don't know what's going to happen, folks. I'm getting nervous. So I'm gonna do these questions in reverse. So what would you say? And I guess it doesn't have to be one thing; it could be a few. What upsets you the most?
What upsets me?
Being asked what makes you upset?
Oh my God. No, what would set me off, kind of thing.
Sure.
Or-
Yeah. I guess I meant that in a more existential way.
Yeah.
What sort of upsets you most about life? But yeah, if you want to say sets you off, if that's easier to answer.
I think they kind of go, for me, a little bit hand in hand.
Okay.
For me, I haven't quite figured out what it is that I want, what it is that I am doing. I have a really hard time with focus. I have 1,700 projects I want to do. Oftentimes I will start all of them, and then I will see somebody else out there doing projects similar and better, and I automatically get that imposter syndrome. I shut everything down.
Wow.
And then so just not having the self-confidence to complete, and therefore feeling like I'm wasting time. And then the time that I do have in the things I find important, feeling like they're being wasted.
Right. So you'd say, like, or I'm paraphrasing here, but
Yeah.
like in comparing yourself to other people and then sort of feeling like you fall short, and then that negatively impacting you and judging you, and or judgment on yourself, and getting in that negative headspace. I actually do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not like physically well enough to have like 1,700 projects on the go. So if I can do like one or two cool things, you know, this and a show in a week, like I'm doing well, right? So, but I know, like, you know, like able-bodied people and just other people generally are doing way more, right? Often, so I often feel pretty shitty about that too. So I can totally relate.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like a project like putting together a show, but it could be something so simple as I just want to spend more time with my son, you know? And then, so I have great intentions of doing that. I put that out as a plan. That doesn't happen. And I'm, what have I done? You know what I mean? Or I had great intentions of drinking water today.
Yeah,
I don't.
And now I'm choking.
Yeah.
Jeez, too many things running through my head. I got to remember to hydrate. Yeah, that's what's that like, having a son? How old is he?
He's 4.
Oh, wow.
And that was the thing that helped get me well.
I could see
100%. Because it was a purpose.
Yep. It ain't just all about you anymore, right?
Nope, not about me. I had to think about him. I had to think about the legacy I was leaving behind. I had to make sure that he was going to grow up self-confident, sure, safe, and so that whatever stuff was going to be thrown at him, he was going to be able to handle it.
I think from the sounds of that, I'd say that helps you become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I have to model it. I have to model it.
Yeah.
I can't just, tell him to do a thing because it's the good thing to do and then not do that myself.
Yeah, like, hey, don't drink too much pop, but mommy's here drinking 3 sodas and smoke cigarettes,
Exactly.
right? Don't do as I say, or don't do as I do as I say. I hate that fucking
that's it.
Adults being irresponsible, in my opinion.
No.
So yeah, I think somebody because somebody told me you had a son, and I'm glad we worked that in there. Is he doing well now, or?
He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's perfect.
What's he most into these days?
Just learning.
Oh, so he's
so
generally, right?
Just generally learning. So like he'll spout off random facts about, how you count the rings on a clam to discover how old it is. And Mom, did you know that this is an orca, which is a member of the blah 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 family? And like really just loving piling on the knowledge.
For you old Cheers fans that might be listening to this, he's a Cliff Clavin, but a Cliff Clavin who knows what he's talking about. Take that, Cliff Clavin. Yeah, I actually was quite a bit like him as a child, and I got in trouble sometimes with my mom. Not like bad trouble, but she would say, don't be telling people things all the time, because maybe sometimes they don't want to learn stuff.
Fair.
Listing off all the world capital cities when I was like 6 or something at the church after coffee hour.
Yeah.
So
you never know when that's going to come in handy, though.
Right. And I think and I don't know about you, but as a small child, I didn't have any sense of context or time or place, and I'm kind of still like that anyway. Like, I'll say whatever the fuck's on my mind whenever, and within, I'm not. If I sit there and think like something I say might be deliberately hurtful, then obviously I won't, unless but if they're being an asshole, then I will, say something to be deliberately hurtful to get them to stop being an asshole or point it out to them, So I guess besides your son, obviously you have to be a big part of what you're most caring about in life these days. What would you say and again, it doesn't have to be just one thing, it can be a few or several. What would you say you're most passionate about?
Just sharing moments on stage. That's
Wow. We
Yeah.
should do a show then, maybe.
yeah. I just want to share. I just want to be a goof. I want to be as raw and honest and silly and gross and funny and all that on stage. I want to make people laugh. I want for them to feel good. That's what I want.
So, like telling the meaning of life while farting kind of thing.
And you could do that. That could be an act.
Yeah, it's very important, that we let our gas get out properly. so
You
we can
actually
function.
fart quite a bit in circus.
Do you?
You really do.
Oh, because all those moves you do.
Oh my God. Like they're so like.
This is
there's
highbrow
ju-
entertainment, folks.
Yeah. There's a lot of farting that happens in circus, and it's funny because like while I'm teaching, there's the big difference between the kids who kind of giggle, the teenagers who are dying now because they've just farted in front of their peers, and yeah, so. I don't know,
And me who'd
everybody
be like
farts.
laughing the whole time,
Yeah.
feeding people beans. Right? Yeah. No, so, and that's awesome that you mentioned that, because that was actually my next question. How did you get into the circus stuff? You weren't just like farting at the bus stop someday.
I was not. No. I had a really great drama teacher in high school who was just like, I was going to go out. I wanted to go off and do psychology, and he laughed at me. And he was like, Vennesa, I'm like, come on, you're obviously going to be on stage. That's what you're going to be doing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went to theater school, got my degree, and did some theater, but I really loved the physical part of it. I loved how I could express through more than just my words. And so when I moved to Halifax, I discovered that there was adult circus classes. And so, 10 years later, here I am.
Wow. So yeah, like you knew you wanted to be on stage, and then you came to town and you learned about adult circus classes, and I've I try to do research on everybody, and I was hoping to find like a website with a bio, and that wasn't existing to my knowledge, at least, of you,
Yeah.
right? So like I went on the band camp to see the band members, but I also looked at videos of you like swinging from a trapeze that were like a minute or two long.
Oh,
I think-
yeah.
I don't know if it is trapeze. Is that the right, when like you're holding hands and you're with a part? It was you and another lady, Erin, somebody.
Oh, Erin Ball. Yeah.
That's her, yeah.
So, yeah, she and I do duo trapeze together.
Okay,
yeah.
that is. I know somewhat my circus terminology.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so we have a company together called Legacy Circus, and
Okay.
so we do duo trap. Yeah.
So, and like you have to be pretty in shape to do that stuff, I imagine, eh?
Safely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of recreational circus folk
My
out
dad
there.
smokes a cigarette doing that stuff,
Well, yeah, it's like and it depends on what discipline you're doing too. Like, there's a lot of strength that's involved, but then there's some circus disciplines where it's like, I want to say juggling, for example.
Right.
That does require some strength, of course, to juggle. But it's an entirely different discipline than if you were going to be, doing hand balancing or something.
So within the, I guess, really wide spectrum of circus discipline, like what all stuff do you do?
I do some acrobatics. I do stilt dancing.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my like specialty. And then I do trapeze. I've dabbled in some fire, and I do clown.
Wow. And like with the makeup and everything?
Yeah, but not like the clown like people picture, like It. Not
Right,
that
not-
kind of clown.
not evil,
I
but
don't wear
like-
a nose.
No,
I don't-
no
yeah.
Ronald McDonald either.
It's more just like character work. So
Right.
really, really physical slapstick comedy, physical work.
Right. So like more Charlie Chaplin than Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And so how did you doing circus end up, I guess was the whole reason for this interview in a way, you working with disabled folks. What was that all about?
So that kind of mixed up together out like kind of within only the last few years. Before I was doing circus full time, I was actually a support worker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was a support
What
worker.
type of support worker?
I was doing support work for two people in their home that were both living with disability.
Okay, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really cool because I actually have my topic of discussion today that I did before you got here was about home care workers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So I had these two folk that I was working with for the longest time, and my job was just to ensure that I helped them to gain as much independence as possible and give them the best quality of life, and that they were a big part of my life for 10 years. And then when circus picked up, it got to the point where I couldn't handle both schedules, and I had to make a really painful decision. Which it hurt a lot because I was like, I have to make a very selfish choice here.
Right, yeah, I mean, I guess, and that's what I wanted to, because you have to live your life, right?
Yeah.
So, and the thing about that is that, I'm sure they're sad to see you go, and I'm sure you're sad not to be working with them anymore, but, there are the people who can do that work.
Exactly.
Right?
And that was what my boss had actually had to put into my head. It was like, you will always be in their life, just in a different aspect, So like there are people out there that are able to do what you're going to do, but you need to do you right now. So yeah. So I did.
Train them to be circus clowns and everybody.
So they've actually come to see some of my shows.
Have they been able to be involved in them, or?
They haven't been involved in them, no. But they have come to see them, and I've made the offer up because of how I've combined the two disciplines now. So what ended up happening, combining circus with my work and accessibility, was I had met Aaron Ball in 2016, and that changed everything.
So this is a fairly new thing for you.
This is very new. Yeah. So in 2016, I met Aaron, and Aaron was 1 year out of hospital, and it's not my story to share, so I won't share all of it. But,
okay. Say what you're comfortable.
Yeah,
feel that she would be. Yeah.
But she is a circus artist who also is a double lower leg amputee.
Wow, and I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so she and I were paired up to work together because she works with leg attachments, and I use my leg attachments with the stilts.
Oh, okay.
And so the two of us were actually discovering how we can experiment with circus on balancing each other with our leg attachments, without the leg attachments. How can we make new shapes together?
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, and not to put you down in any way, but in the in the video that I did see, she was doing more of the flips than you.
Oh yeah, she's like, because there's really like I am so much more limited wearing those stilts than Erin with the great amount of leg attachments that she has. Like she can do so many more things than I can,
right,
because she has the ability to change what leg she's wearing or take them off completely.
Right. So they only enhance what she's doing and don't really hurt
well, it depends. It's the whole new approach, because it was a matter of finding new pathways, because right now, like, circus has a very specific pedagogy. It's like, this is the training that you do, this is the way that your leg goes, this is the body that you have to have for this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for us, we were like, well, hold up, those don't work, so what are we going to do instead?
Right, exactly. So you have to think outside of the box to make things work for folks.
Yeah.
I like it. And so say I want to be involved. Right off the bat, would you like teach me how to juggle flaming knives, or like throw me into a crocodile pit?
Probably not. Nobody would start off there.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No, everybody, and I do mean everybody, starts off by coming in and trying out all different levels of skills until they find out what it is that their body is actually starting to pick up on. From there, if you found something that you're enjoying and you found something that's working for you and your body, then you start training that skill.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. Basically, you have to, start from ground zero to just figure out where. Because a person's not going to know where they're at, and you're not going to know until you see them move and all those types of things. What's going to be best suited. I think I have a good body to be maybe a ringmaster.
I think you should just go straight up into the air.
Yeah, you have to throw me though. Could you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, I can't get to the air.
I lift humans for a living.
I can't. Oh my God, she's just lifted me over her head 17 times, folks, and I'm out of breath. Guess I better stop smoking. Good Lord. Geez, that was something. See, yeah, I have no problem getting in. I can't get in the air myself, but if someone wants to chuck me up there, that's cool.
And that's just it. Yeah, I did a workshop a while back. There was a girl in a motorized wheelchair, and she wheeled over to where our an aerial hammock was, and then myself and her support worker had put her into the cradle, and we put it into a position where she didn't have to grasp too tightly. She was able to just comfortably sit, and then we had her swinging and spinning and all kinds of stuff in the aerial piece.
Wow. Yeah. So what would you say, if you could nail it down into a few sentences, what would you say that doing circus stuff with disabled folks has meant to you?
To me, I think it's just opened up a whole new world of creativity. Because if I'm going to be working with the same people, with the same performers my whole life, chances are none of us are going to come up with anything too fresh. But if I have the chance to be working with people who are going to every single day force me to think outside of the box, chances are something else cool is going to come up.
Right. Your creativity is always going to have to be on, and you're going to be meeting new people with new sets of challenges.
Absolutely.
And so
it's just going to expand. It's going to expand the circus world. It's going to expand the person who has tried it and realized, wait a second, there's something I can do. It's win for everyone.
There's no loss, folks. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like the kind of gamble I'd make. My bookie might not agree, but yeah. And I don't know if I think this is pretty much it. Is there any? I have one final question, and then also you can add something if you want to. But and forgive me if you don't know where we're going here. But I ask everybody, what do you think the meaning of life is?
Meaning of life. The meaning of life is for all of us to just run around in our own slime and grossness in our minds. Until we finally have just either given up and accepted what it is, or have actually conquered it all. That's deep, right?
From Vennesa,
none of it makes sense.
From Vennesa Furlong, folks, wallow like pigs until you find the answer for you.
Right?
Yeah,
just
I like
your
it.
own mental slime.
Oh, mental slime.
Mental slime, yeah.
Ooh, that's more. Yeah, it is deep.
Yeah, we got to roll around in our own mental slime until we've given up or we've conquered it.
So, I guess for me, I would interpret that as cry till you just can't cry anymore, and then the world is mine.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what the meaning of life is. I don't know.
No, I understand that's a pretty ridiculous question to ask somebody without telling them you're going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like Ronic's one was way weirder than yours, and thanks to him actually for helping to make the sound quality go up in this. Him and Mike Ritchie were both instrumental, and I keep forgetting to do it, so sorry for putting this right in the middle of the interview, but thanks to those two folks for doing that. But his answer was something like, oh, and dinosaur bones and tar over the eons, like all this shit, right? That he's obviously like just trying to think of something to say.
Yeah, none of us have a clue.
Yeah. No, nobody knows. Yeah, I really like it. And I guess I'm just gonna keep crying until I can't cry anymore. Is there anything you'd like to add at all?
I just really think there should be somewhere that we can put up a video of you doing circus.
Oh yeah, sure. That's what you want to see.
Just do a little bit. Just a little bit.
She wants to see me fly through the air.
Yeah, I do. With crocodiles and fire.
Yeah.
And knives.
I'm a 35-year-old Peter Pan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I'll never grow up. Folks, I've been Josh Dunn, and I'd like to thank Vennesa Furlong very much for coming on here. It was a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah, and like I always say to everybody, I close out the show. Remember, folks, give yourselves that Ric Flair woo. That was a bad woo, but I've really got to stop smoking, because you are the greatest of all time. I know I am. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.